Hi, Kylie here, and welcome to my plan with me for April 2022. Yep, it's April. Uh, Not quite sure how that happened, but we'll just leave it be. So, if you've been playing along, you'll know that my themes for 2022 are basically a duplication of 2021. That's what I was thinking of doing. And for 2021, April was comfort. And I used the motifs of tea and books to do that. And I was sitting there wondering, is that what I'm going to do? Do I want to choose something else for comfort? What is it that I actually want to go through and do? So I sat down and started playing with ideas, and I drew up this picture. And I was very happy with that picture. And then I sat there and thought, I really don't know that I have the time or the energy really to get stuck into drawing really detailed motif. And look, I don't have to, because this is my journal and it's a sketch practice and all of these things. So what I decided to do was think of something else that I use for comfort. And one of those things is doing Zentangle patterns, and that's what these are. So if you haven't delved into the world of Zentangle before, please feel free. Go onto the internet, go onto Pinterest and look up Zentangle patterns. It's a whole thing, and I don't do it the structured way. I don't make Zentangle squares. I basically just take the patterns and I use them in other ways to do things. So I thought, hey, I'll just go through and use some of the patterns that I really like, and also go through and look at some new ones that I haven't done before. So the one that I'm drawing right now is one that I've actually done a number of times for different things, and I really like it. It's just a nice, simple pattern. And that's just it for Zentangles. They're called Zen for a reason. It's very much a mindfulness activity where the pattern and drawing the pattern is just a really nice mindfulness activity to just calm my brain, which is why I thought, well, I'll use it for comfort. I also find them a lot simpler to draw than sort of doing the detail of, a person reading, sitting somewhere, animals, all sorts of other bits and pieces, because there's no right and wrong in these patterns. There's not really right and wrong in a lot of things that I draw, but, ears are in a certain place, eyes are in a certain place. In these patterns, I can do whatever I want. So I can do it the same way other people have done, or I can go through and create something new with the pattern. And even if I make a mistake with it, I can just sort of adapt and adjust, and it normally isn't that problematic. So that's why I like them. This pattern that I'm doing now, I've actually never done this before. And it's a bit freaky doing a pattern for the first time when you're filming it and sharing it with the world. But again, it's a really simple idea. So I wasn't overly concerned about getting it wrong or doing anything like that. So Zentangle is the comfort motif that I'm using for April. And I've included a few of the drawings of the different patterns, so probably a little bit more drawing than I've included in the last couple. But you won't necessarily see me writing out all the days of the week and everything in all of the layouts, just in a couple of them. And that's what we're doing. So, April. I'm just not even going to say any longer. This year is going way too quickly, because that's just time in general right now. So, there's no point in sort of talking about it. It's just ticking along. And it's a bit sort of difficult, I guess, because I've had a lot of client work on, which is good. I'm never going to complain about having client work. Why would I? That's just a ludicrous thing to even think about. But I've had a lot of client work on, and I haven't really deconflicted it properly. So a few things have sort of crashed together, which means I haven't given myself a lot of time to do the things I want to do. And part of me sort of, leaving paid employment and freelancing and doing all of these things is to try and create more space for myself to do the projects and the different things that I want to do. And I'm not really having enough time for that right now. So that's what I'm going to try and create some more space for in the next couple of months for me. Now, I will come back and do the quote. I just wasn't sure which of the three. And since I'd penciled in everything else, I thought I may as well just keep going with drawing it up. And yes, I realised that I probably should have just moved the camera closer to me because I kept moving the journal closer to me. And there are bits where you're not going to be able to see me drawing, but they're normally pretty quick. So I don't think you're going to be overly stressed in the process. April, hopefully I will clear a couple of deadlines, and that means I'll have a little bit more space for myself in May and June to do a few things that I would like to do. One of the things that I want to do, which you'll see when I do the flip through at the end, I've actually got like a little bit of a structure of the pages that I think I need and everything else, is finally joining my two websites together. I have a website called kyliedunn.com, which is where I did my year of TED and where I put all of this creative stuff. And then I have another website for my business when I started it back in 2014, which is dinkyloon.com. And it sort of made sense for it to be a separate website because I was doing things that were very different to all of this creative and personal project type stuff. But since I've been changing my business to be more of the illustrative work and the graphic scribing and all of those things, it just doesn't really make sense for it to be separate any longer. And I need to find a way to just join these two things and not have to look after two websites, but also just do a bit of rationalizing of the content that's there and try to just make it, I guess, a little bit simpler for myself and for other people who might want to find me on my website, because, you know, there's that too. So that's going to be a little bit of a project that I'll take on again, because this isn't the first time I've had to fix my websites. It'll be a bit of a project that I will take on over the next little while, and I'm not stressing about, you know, making sure that it's absolutely perfect, but I'm going to have to think about redirections and how I make that work for the old blog and all of that sort of information. And yes, I realise that I could pay someone else to do it, but I haven't really got it entirely plotted how I want it to look and feel, and I think I need to do it myself in order to get that sort of settled in my head. So that's the reason I'm not, you know, I can't give a really good brief to someone else at this point in time. And being a person who freelances and works off creative briefs, I'd feel quite guilty about what I would be giving them. So I'm just going to do it myself. It also lends a little bit into that control freak part of me, but trust me, if it all gets a bit too difficult, I might engage someone to start part of the process, and I'll just work with it once it's all sort of migrated over to the new platform that I'm considering migrating to. So we'll see how that all works. But we're into the fourth month, or just about to be into the fourth month of the year, and I hope that your lives are going okay. I hope they're going brilliantly, but given the shit show that is the world at this point in time, I'm not going to make any assumptions that they are. I hope that you're staying safe and sane. I'm not going to get into, you know, I've spoken before. I don't really like to bring the real life and real world into here, because doing all of this is a bit of a safe space for me to just be able to ignore the world and what's actually going on out there. So that's sort of what I'm trying to keep and create. So yeah, hopefully things are going all right for you. Hopefully they're wonderful, but all right will work. So yeah, part of the reason that I sort of drew some of the other patterns and everything in here, if you've never tried Zentangling, if you've never heard of it, if you've never had a bit of a play, it's a really approachable way to get into doing drawing, because they are really sort of simple patterns that you can play with, and it just helps with your pen work and your stroke work to sort of play with this sort of stuff. And you know, there are just known shapes and things that you can do and join them together. So it's a nice approachable thing to consider doing. So please, by all means, look it up. Like I said, go to Pinterest. You'll see some amazing things, including really how to draw certain patterns. The Zentangle community is very generous with what they share with everybody. So you'll find instruction on how to actually draw individual patterns and what to do with them. And yeah, hopefully if you don't have a creative practice or if you want to try something different, give it a go. So this is my bullet journal for April. You'll see I did end up throwing a bit of colour into them. I normally leave them black and white, but I find my bullet journal, if it doesn't have spots and bursts of colour in it, I just find it a little bit boring. So even when it's, detailed and lovely, I just like it to have a little bit of bursts of colour. You'll see that it's not a massive amount of colour, but I thought I'd put a few bits and pieces in there. I really like the floral ones, like the abstract florals. They're great. So I hope you like the layout. I hope you're being creative yourself. And I thank you very much for continuing to watch, or welcome if you've never been to my videos before. But yeah, hopefully I will see you next month in May for a whole new bullet journal setup and for circus again. Thank you.